Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast. Isn't it the most fabulous time of the year when Christmas is starting to sort of really filter through? People are getting excited. I know here in Australia, people are sort of whinging about, oh, it's hot and it's this and it's that and the other, and they've got to go Christmas shopping. But I just love it. I just love the magic that's in the air. And, I'm one of those really Christmas junkies, I suppose. There isn't a day goes past where I don't try and watch a Christmas movie or listen to some Christmas carols. And it really just puts you in the mood, I think, for sort of believing in people again, believing in humanity, believing that anything is possible. And I think that's the important message to take out of Christmas. It's not the presents, it's that magical feeling that we can all sort of start to put bygones away. We can put arguments away. We can start to sort of really enjoy being with the people that we love and people we've never met before. Just get into the spirit of sort of wishing somebody a Merry Christmas instead of being grumpy or sad. We're wishing them happy holidays, Merry Christmas, have a nice Christmas, enjoy the time with your family, whatever you might want to say. It brightens their day. And I think by putting this positive energy around the world, maybe, just maybe, we might be able to get some peace around the world. Wouldn't that be a nice thing for Christmas? And I know many people have sung about that and, wanting world peace. Well, maybe this year we might be able to achieve it. Fingers crossed. Anyway, the Simply Tarot card of the week this week is the Two of Cups. Now, it's the card of peace of mind, but it's also the card of joining together of two people. Now, what I like to term this card is the card of what we've just been talking about, is about bringing peace to the world, about finding some peace in our world, being friendly, having a good time, being kind to your neighbours, saying hello to somebody, wishing them happy holidays or Merry Christmas or whatever your belief system is when you're out shopping or you're out doing, taking care of business. Just put a smile on your dial and make somebody else's day that little bit more peaceful, that little bit more joyful. And I think then that positive energy will sort of filter through the rest of the world and maybe, just maybe, we'll get some changes happening. I mean, it's a nice time of the year to try and forget about all the politics and all the gunk that goes on during the year. And I know that it's important and we need to have politicians no matter where you live, whether we love them or hate them. We need to have them in our lives because that's what makes our countries run and, keeps the world afloat. But wouldn't it be just nice for 24 hours to forget about politics and just sing some Christmas carols and just put some joy into the world? Because I really do believe that's what the world needs. We've had a really tumultuous year with interest rates and, cost of living going through the roof around the world. It's just time to sort of put that to one side and let's just fill our hearts with joy. So that's the two of Cups, which is a lovely card of the joining of two people. And I'd like to say the joining of all of us around the world. So astrologically, yes, as I've been saying for seems to be a long time now on the show, we've got a major week happening again with astrology. The planets seem to be really sort of ramping their energies up over the last few years, more than I've ever noticed. And I've been in astrology well over 40 years now. I mean, seriously, in astrology well over 40 years. I've always had an interest in astrology. But I feel now that the planets sort of are really starting to intensify and they're sharing more of their wisdom with us and asking us to make more changes. Now, at the moment, the sun's in Sagittarius. So happy birthday to all the Sages. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody that wished me happy birthday yesterday. I had a great day. So we've got Mars, the planet of action, is actually conjunct or holding hands with the moon. Now, the moon is the emotional planet. The moon moves fairly quickly. It only stays in a sign about a day and a half. So with Mars here, Mars, the planet of action, which is the one that gets us out of bed, that motivates us, that puts a spring in our step, that sometimes can make us a bit cranky too, but, because we're so focused on something or a bit short-tempered as we're trying to focus on the goals and the things that we're trying to achieve. So we need to be a little bit aware of that we don't become bad-tempered or short-tempered with people, that while we're trying to achieve what we need to achieve, while Mars is holding hands with the moon. Now, the moon is the emotional planet. Now, can be emotions that are positive and emotions that can be not so positive. So we have to be aware that emotionally charged situations may be very much around us at the moment. Now, the moon is also holding hands or conjunct the sun, which all these three planets are sitting currently in Sagittarius. Now, for those people that don't know a lot about the Sagittarian energy is a fire sign energy. It's fiery, it's outspoken. But one of the things that I think Sagittarians are so well known for is what I term as foot and mouth disease. They are so bluntly honest that they don't usually have time to stop and think about what they're going to say. They open their mouth and it tumbles out. Now, if you don't want the answer, then don't ask a Sagittarian. I've always said that to my friends. If you want an honest answer, then ask me. If you don't want an honest answer, ask someone else, because Sagittarians just can't help themselves. They call it as they see it. So at the moment, with Mars holding hands with the moon and the moon holding hands with the sun, it's a time when there could be some tremendous action happening, particularly for fire signs, particularly for Sagittarians, Aries and Leo, and the opposite side of Gemini. But it also filters through to the other remaining 8 signs as well. So it's a time when there is some sort of, intense energy around. It could be emotionally charged, and just be careful that maybe that maybe try and think before you open your mouth if it's something important or something prominent. But it is a time where it's going to clear things away. Even though it's emotionally charged, we're going to get results. And I think that's the very important thing here, is that some of the things have felt a little bit stuck lately. And it's sort of like, get in there with the shovel and let's dig it up and move it along. And that's what this configuration astrologically is going to do for all the 12 signs at the moment. So if you've been feeling a little bit stuck in something, put your faith in the universe and say, I know today or tomorrow is going to be the day where we're going to start to see some decisive action. And you probably will. We also have Uranus, the planet of the unusual and the unexpected, is sitting in Taurus. Now, Uranus sitting there is like a bolt of lightning. It's like something that strikes the ground, something that we weren't expecting. Now, it's making what's termed in astrological terms as an uncomfortable aspect. So it's called an inconjunct. So it means that Uranus is 5 signs away from the sun in Sagittarius, and it's making an uncomfortable or an abrasive sort of energy there. But in the more positive light, what I'm going to say to you here is Uranus here, making this inconjunct to Sagittarius, may just be that bolt of lightning or that shovel going into the ground and finally breaking it up, finally moving things along. Even though it's been difficult, it's probably been taxing on the emotions, it's been frustrating, and you've probably said a few choice words. It's now removing the obstacles that have been there in the past couple of months. And, for some people, and I've got a lot of Saggy friends, they've been saying that, it's been like pushing a wheelbarrow up a hill full of concrete these last few months, trying to get things across the line, things that they know that are right and have taken a long time to get them to this point. But this last little bit has seemed like we need to get some dynamite in there. Well, this is the dynamite. So, yes, it is more affecting the fire sign, Sagittarius, Leo, Aries, and opposite sign of Gemini, but it also applies right across the board to the other signs as well, maybe not to the same degree. But if you've been looking for change or sort of that little stick of dynamite to move things along, to get things progressing again, now is the time with Uranus and this inconjunct to the sun in Sag. It will start to break things up. We will start to get some breakthroughs. And all as I can say is let's hope that this filters through to the Middle East, where we've got that conflict going on at the moment, that maybe we can find some way of resolving this, that maybe somebody's going to have some sense and say, this has got to stop. It's always my hope, and particularly when you're dealing with Sagittarian energy, because the Sagittarian energy is overseas energy, it's world energy. It's not just a very personal, in my own backyard energy. It's a world energy. So this is why I'm saying that maybe, just maybe, with the planetary configurations that are in Sagittarius at the moment and making aspect to Sagittarius, maybe, just maybe, on the world stage we can get some answers and get something moving in a positive direction in that way. We also have Mercury, the planet of communication, is sitting in Capricorn. Now, why is this so important? Well, Mercury sitting in Capricorn is really, really important because it means any communication, any negotiations, any world events that need some very clear, concise communication, like the school teacher with the red pen saying that's wrong or that's right, is where it's sitting at the moment. So I would feel really comfortable here that this adds weight to the Sagittarian message I've just been talking about. Communication can be very clear. Where it doesn't matter what your star sign is. I mean, obviously, more important or more emphasized with the earth signs, which is Capricorn, Virgo, and I've forgotten the other one. Taurus, of course. So, and the opposite sign of Cancer. So it's really sort of bringing in that really intense, sort of clear cut message, but it flows on to all of us. And particularly because it's sitting in Capricorn, that to me lends weight to the fact of government or official situations that maybe the communication is going to be so much clearer there than it has been for a very, very long time. So all these things are sort of, striking up that we're going to get some really clear communication, and let's hope it helps in the Middle East, and we might get some peace for Christmas, and those families can start to heal and bury their dead and start to get on with their lives again. It's been such a tragedy, and we can't forget our family in Ukraine either. They've been going through it for such a long time, with Russia trying to invade their little part of the world too. So, we just want world peace everywhere. And, our hearts do go out to the Middle East and Ukraine, and neither one place is more important than the other. Our hearts go out to all of you. So for the rest of us, we have what's known as the part of fortune, which is not actually a planet or a luminary, but it's an Arabian part of astrology. Now, it doesn't mean that's where we're going to find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow with the leprechaun, but it just means where we're going to find something that's going to bring joy in our lives, something that's really important. Now, the part of fortune at the moment is conjunct or holding hands Pluto, the planet of transformation, sitting in Capricorn. Now, Capricorn, that Pluto in Capricorn is only going to be there for a bit over a month, and then he'll finish his trek through there and move into Aquarius for a very long time. So it's really, really important at the moment with the part of fortune sitting here. This spills over to each and every one of the signs, where it says that with the power of transformation, the power of being able to forgive, the power of being able to move past something and sort of break down the barriers and push through things, sitting again in Capricorn, which is the official situation, the governments, the anything that's official in our lives. So the part of fortune here is saying we can find the way forward. So again, to me, this throws some weight on maybe, just maybe, we can be a tiny bit positive, that maybe we can get some breakthrough in world events. Wouldn't it be nice to see some breakthroughs with global warming, that people that have been so against it finally get that aha moment and say, oh, hang on a minute, there might be something in this. There's a lot of things to sort of look at Pluto to sort of try and finalise in his last 5-6 weeks here in the sign, that he's been there since 2008. So things are going to ramp up. On the flip side, yes, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to come out in the washing, so to speak. We're going to find people being arrested for things that they thought they'd got away with, or being accused of things, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, or whether it's true or it's false. There's going to be a barrage of those sort of things. So there's a lot of things that are going to be unpacking over the next few months. Some of them will impact us personally, and others it'll just be, oh, gee, I wouldn't have thought that of that person, or that doesn't surprise me, or whatever the case may be. But again, I want to emphasize this part of fortune conjunct Pluto in Capricorn may just be part of the breakthrough that we're needing for those two wars that are going on at the moment in Ukraine and in the Middle East. And, I know there's conflict in other parts of the world too, but they're the two that are standing out at the moment. So maybe, just maybe, we're going to start to see some resolutions. So, 2024 is hopefully going to be an easier year for most of us, but it's been, 2023 has been a year of sorting out, of working through things, of not letting things slide, that, we've had to continue on with the work that we've been doing in our lives in the previous years. And, in some ways I say we learned a lot through COVID, and in some ways I don't think we really learned anything. We learned it for that split second while we're in the middle of it. And then once we came out the other side, we forgot all that again. And I think that's a real tragedy, because it should have been a time where we took those lessons and the things that we learned in that time of contemplation into our new lives, and to make better people of us. But I'm not saying that we all haven't made some great inroads and haven't made some great choices and moved ourselves and evolved ourselves along as human beings. So we're going to take our first caller, which is Tiffany in Darlingford in Manabota, Canada. Anyway, you'll know where you are, Tiffany. How can I help you today, sweetie? Hello. Tiffany. Hi, do you have a question I can answer? Do you have a question I can answer for you, please, sweetie?
Yeah, I've been really stressed lately, and I just wanted some insight on something like job and relationship and stress and coping.
Oh,
Mhm.
well, I'm sorry to hear you've been stressed lately, Tiffany. That's not good. I mean, we don't want you being too stressed. The first thing that they're showing me is that you're in a process of a lot of endings, a lot of change, and a lot of things that you're really questioning everything. And it's like bringing everything and putting it on the end of your nose and looking at it and saying, do I really want this? Am I happy with this? Is this better for me? Is it good for my higher self? Is it good for my family? If not, I'm going to discard it. So it's a time where it can be a little bit uncomfortable because it puts stress in your body that you think, I don't need to feel this stress in the pit of my stomach all the time. But it's really important because it's part of the letting go process, of the healing process, is that we've got to release it on the physical. And if we don't feel it, we can't release it. So it's interesting because the other thing that they were showing me, Tiffany, has there been a few tears around lately too?
Sorry, what was that?
Have you been,
Yours?
have you burst into tears a couple of times lately too?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, but that's all part of this process. It's part of the process of the releasing, the letting go. Look, I know things are going to get easier, but I want to be very clear with you. I don't think it's going to be this week, and I don't even think it's going to be next week. I think it's going to be a gradual process over the next couple of months, Tiffany, where things start to fall into place. There will be things that you will let go of. Are you looking at changing your job?
Well, yeah, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I'm trying to think about getting into the workforce again.
Okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mum. That's probably the most wonderful job in the world. I know it doesn't pay real well. It pays in hugs and kisses from the children, but it's the most rewarding job. But I did see that you would be going, there was a change of job coming up. That to me is going to be the start of things in your world, in your opinion, starting to come right. And it's not just because of the extra money coming in. I think it's because you sort of feel then that you're taking the reins back to your own life. It's like, oh, good, I'm back in the driver's seat again. I'm back in control. I can sort of, make choices and decisions for me again now. And that's really important. You know, Look, I don't know that the relationship that you're in is necessarily the world's greatest, but I'm not seeing a break there either. I just think it's hit a bit of a rocky patch where you're both sort of reorganizing who you are and what you want out of things. And he's been a bit grumpy lately too. And it hasn't been an easy year, has it, Tiffany? You won't be sad to
No.
see the back of this year at all. And
Pardon? No.
and I'm not trying to patronize you when I say that, but I kept going back over and it was like, well, there wasn't a month where I could say that was an easy month. That they all seem to have their own challenges and different things. And it was like, you'd get up and you'd say, oh, good, it was the start of the new month, things will get better now. And it was sort of like it was a different set of problems and a different set of stresses. And it's like, well, when's this ever going to end? I'm pleased to say I think by March next year things will be a lot different to what they are now. But the most important thing is stop being so hard on yourself. We can't control
Mhm.
everything, no matter how clever we think we are. We can't control everything, and you've done a remarkable job to work your way through the maze of what has been 2022, 2023. And you should be patting yourself on the back and saying a job well done is what I'm going to say, Tiffany, because next year is certainly going to be a better year. Have you and your partner, your husband, been talking about potentially moving?
Yeah, we're actually in the midst of moving right now.
Okay, good. Oh, well, I was going to say that's a positive thing. When that happens, it's sort of like the beginning point of everything sort of starting to sort of unravel in a positive way. Well, that's great. But why has he been so grumpy?
Pardon, sorry?
I said, why has he been so grumpy? He just seems to be grumpy, grumpy, grumpy pants, I want to call him
Yes.
at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think it's just the stress of moving.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but he's not the only one. He's not doing it single handedly. You're doing it too.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think his temperament will improve, and look, I don't see the relationship falling apart or anything. It's just that you've been snapping and snarling at each other a bit, and that happens
Yes.
when there's a lot of stress going around. But look, overall, I think he's a good person, and he truly loves you, and he just wants to be able to wave a magic wand and it's all done. I think that's the problem. He doesn't like the actual physical of doing it. Wake me up when it's all
Hmm.
over. Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah,
have a lovely
yeah,
Christmas and know that 2024 is going to be so much better. And the next place that you're moving into has got a beautiful energy and it's going to be a lucky place to live. It's going to bring you a lot of joy and a lot of change in your life that's overdue.
yeah. Okay. Thanks so much.
Okay. So have a lovely Christmas, Tiffany.
You too.
We're going to we're going to talk with Raffaella in Hamilton in Ontario in Canada. Are you there, Raffaella?
Yes, I am. Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, sweetie. Do you have a question I can answer for you?
What do you see? Well, okay, I actually want to know about my work because I've been out of work for about a year. And if you
Oh
see me
no.
getting any kind of contracts, part-time jobs coming up soon,
I
and
do actually
if
see
you,
you
what
with
you
a
see
job,
for
yeah.
me in the future, yeah.
Okay. All right. To answer your first question, look, I'm really sorry that you've been out of work for 12 months. That must be really, really difficult, not just on the financial side, but also on your confidence levels too, that not to be able to sort of land
Right.
something in that time. I don't want to
Yeah.
sound like I'm patronizing you, but on a metaphysical sort of side, they're showing me that you needed the rest. Now you might say, well, that's all well and fine, but my bank balance didn't need the rest. All it's done is caused me a lot of stress and a lot of aggravation. I could have done with, a job and money coming in, and I could have, squeezed in a rest around it. But for some reason or another, they wanted you to sit still. So I can only take from that you've learned a lot about yourself, learned a lot about your life, what you want and what you don't want in this last 12 to 18 months, and that's good. But you are now ready to sort of launch back into something. I'm seeing a part time job and I'm seeing something that I'm going to say is very casual. The initial part is it might only be 2 or 3 days or a week or something like that. And you think, oh, is that really worth taking that? What if something else comes up? I want to see you take it because I feel that this is going to lead into a little bit more work. They're sort of saying only a few days to begin with, and then they're asking, can you come in next week? And then the week after, and before you know it, it's actually going to lead into all the hours that you want on a permanent basis. Sometimes we've got to
Okay,
sort of
so
take
because
that
right
down.
now I'm working like part-time, like a few days a week. Is
Right.
that the job you're talking about, or is there going to be another one?
I think there's going to be another one, and it's sort of like you can fit it
Okay.
in around what you're doing now, but it's sort of like
Okay.
it's one of those things where they're sort of saying we might only need you for 3 days, and you think, oh, is it really worth it? But it is worth it to
Right.
juggle around the other and fit this in because I feel it's going to lead into what you want. Do you want to go back to work full
Okay.
time, or you're only looking for about
No, no.
30
I only
hours a week?
want like few more. I want just another part-time job. I'm looking for
Yeah.
part-time, not full-time.
No, but
Yeah.
what I could see was it was leading up to somewhere between 20 to 30 hours a week.
Okay, good. And when will that be? Do you know? Anytime soon, or?
Yeah, I feel it soon. I'm not sure that this casual part might come in before Christmas, and then they sort of don't need you for a couple of weeks after that. And then they ask you again, can you come in and fill in again? And it's like all these times that they ask you to fill in, that's leading to
Okay,
something that
good.
when there becomes an opening, then they're going to offer you something that I think you will actually get enough hours out of this one job that you'll let go of the one that you've currently got. Because this new
Oh,
one
thank
will
you
end
very
up
much.
being
Good.
will be like a permanent
Okay,
part-time job, like it'll have all the benefits and
that's what
everything
I'm
like that.
looking for. Yeah,
But you won't be working any more than 30 hours a week. I'm going to say probably
that's
closer to
perfect.
20, but sometime
Good.
there'll be certain periods in the year where you might have to bump it up between 25 and 30, where normally it's between 20 and 25. Might be 20 hours this week and 25 the next week, and you know what you're usually doing, but there's a few times of the year where it gets busier and you'll need to bump it up, and that's good. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is, has your energy levels sort of been up and down this year? Because they're showing me that starting to sort of level itself out, where you're starting to feel much better in yourself physically.
Yes, yes, it's been better. My iron was down. It's still down, but not as bad right now.
No,
And
but
my
that seems to be
thyroid is more
leveling.
balanced right now, they said. Yes.
Yeah, but everything seems to be, they seem to be getting the right balances for you, because I can see you literally jumping out of your skin soon. You haven't felt this well in years. And it's not just because you've
Right.
got more money coming in the door, it's your body is feeling balanced again. They've got the right combination, which is good.
Good. Okay. And do you
So the
see
other thing
anything else? Like,
The
yeah, go
other
ahead.
thing that I wanted to talk to you about was that you've got to start listening to yourself a little bit more. You get some very strong feelings about things, and it's like you then talk yourself out of it. I don't want you to do that. Even if you don't feel comfortable proceeding with what you've felt or what you've dreamt, just be aware of it, acknowledge it, and sort of say, well, okay, I'll write that down and I'll see what happens. Because the more you can
Okay.
start to do that, I think the better you're going to feel in yourself and more confident in your own decision making, and sort of like, well, that just wasn't wishful thinking. It was the right choice, or it was the right move,
Oh,
because you can feel it in your soul. You've always sort of fought that throughout your life, thinking, oh, that can't be right.
it's
Why would I
true.
think such a stupid thing like that? It's not stupid. We all are psychic. It's just a matter of how we develop it. Not everybody wants to develop it to the level that I did and become your life's work. But if we can work with it and understand it, and the best thing I can say to you is write it down. And then that way you can see whether it panned out or not. And how you tell the difference between wishful thinking and it really being a message for you personally is, if it's really a message for you, it'll drive you nuts until you do it. It'll keep annoying you,
Okay.
like an annoying 2-year-old grabbing on your skirt. You know what I mean? But if it's
Okay.
wishful thinking, it'll just be something that comes into your mind as soon as it's landed, it's gone again. And you think, oh, that would have been nice, or it might come a couple of times. But if it really starts to gnaw at you, then you know that's something you've really got to give some attention. So I hope that's helped you, sweetie, and have a lovely Christmas, and we'll talk again next year. So it's really interesting at this time of the year where everybody's sort of contemplating what they're going to do for the next year. What have they achieved this year? Have they achieved everything that they set out to do? And I'm no different to that. I mean, I sit down and I think, where's the year gone? We've got another year's just bitten the dust and we're all a year older and Santa's coming again, and how wonderful is that? But it's also a time of reflection about what we've achieved and what we hope to achieve in the next 12 months. And I don't know about you, but my aim is to just be the very, very best person that I can be and help as many people as I can, which has always been my way of things. So anyway, I want to leave you with a beautiful song this week. There's so many beautiful Christmas carols out there, but this one I think is one of, oh look, I was going to say one of my favourites, but look, they're all my favourites. But this one I know is going to have a very special meaning for someone, and it's called "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas," and it's by the one only beautiful Helen Reddy. So until next week, have yourself a merry little Christmas, and don't forget to put Helen on the turntable. Bye for now.